Over the last few years, we've built over 50 different YouTube channels, and combined, they've all done over 1 billion impressions and over 100 million long-form organic views. So if I were to start a YouTube channel for my business in 2026, I would not do what most of the advice online tells you to do. Instead, every single time that we launch a new channel for ourselves or for one of our clients, we actually build out a system that I'm going to show you today. And the first concept that you need to learn as a business owner when you're trying to start a YouTube channel is you can't do everything by yourself. So I'm going to put this on the screen as a sticky note so that you can remember you can't do this alone. I'm gonna bold this so that you understand how important this is, because if you think about it, most YouTubers that you're watching online who have big personal brands, chances are they're not doing it all alone. And the other thing is that they're not doing it as a side hustle either. They're doing this full time as their career. And so if you can't create content full time as the business owner, you're running ads, you're working on the operations, you're doing things that a CEO should do for their business, and YouTube is not at the forefront of your mind. And so the only way that you can mass produce content consistently on YouTube is by doing it with a team and building out systems and processes and workflows in order for your team to do all this stuff for you. YouTube is very complicated, right? You have so many things going on. You have coming up with ideas, you have writing scripts, you have setting up the camera, you might be filming the video yourself. Then there's editing the video, there's doing the thumbnail, there's writing the descriptions and the tags and the title, there's replying to comments once you post, there's tracking analytics, and a bunch of other things too. Like if you have a team of editors and thumbnail designers, then you're gonna have to start using a content calendar, and you're gonna have to start managing them and managing using a CRM of some sort. Now, all of this stuff is very, very time consuming. And so if you can figure out a way to build a team to do all this stuff for you, this is gonna be the key to you being consistent on YouTube as a business owner, right? Not a YouTuber, which you're probably seeing, people who are doing this full time. No, you're the business owner who is maybe just the face of the channel, and you're just there to show up to film videos, and you should have a team and a system that does everything else on this list. So this is everything in the process. And you as the CEO should only have to do one thing, and that is to film, right? Just be the person in front of the camera. That's it, just one thing. So in order to do this, this is the structure that we have within our YouTube channels. So you can take this, if you already have an editor or you already have a thumbnail designer, you can just plug yourself into where you see fit. So I'm going to walk you guys through our actual process and our workflow when it comes to our team structure so that you can see how it looks and you can decide for yourself what you're lacking in your company and what hires you need to make. So the first one would be obviously you're at the very top. And if you look at all of these things, like you could just come up with a separate role for each one, right? So coming up with video ideas and scripting, that could be like one task. So it could be ideation / scripting. Go ahead and extend that. We could have one for videography, right? This is the person who's going to maybe set up the camera if you're not too tech savvy. We have the person who's going to edit the videos. We have somebody who's going to create thumbnails. We have somebody who's going to write the descriptions, tags, and basically we could just call this channel manager. Now, if we rearrange this to show you guys how we do this within our company, it's the CEO, and then we have the channel manager who reports to the CEO, and then under the channel manager are all of the contractors and creators and all the people who are a part of the creative process to the production. This is it. This is the structure that we use within our company, obviously to a much bigger scale because we're doing 200 to 300 videos per month on all of our channels. And so we have multiple channel managers, we have multiple editors, thumbnail designers, etc. Now, typically what we see that a lot of business owners are lacking at first is a channel manager. So they're typically, this as the CEO, just talking directly with whoever's helping them come up with ideas or scripting, or talking directly to their videographer and working directly with their editor and the thumbnail designer. And this just takes a lot of your time, right? But if you have a channel manager, then all of a sudden you just have to talk to one person and train one person on what you like, how you like to talk, how you like to think. And that person can be the standard for all of the other people under them. I guess you can also call this role a project manager. You can call them a creative director. They're just going to make it super easy for you to just talk to one person who can then talk to everybody else for you. Now, this role is going to be anywhere from $500 on the very low end to maybe $2,000, maybe even like $3,000 per month for a really solid channel manager, project manager, whatever, if you hire overseas. Okay, that's a whole nother topic, right? Hiring overseas versus hiring in the States. Obviously, if you hire overseas, you're going to be getting talent at a fraction of the cost compared to hiring in the States. And this is what we do. That's what we recommend. And we found out that it actually works really well for us because we're in the US. So if we film any content, then they get to edit and work on it at night. So then we wake up to finished products scripts or drafts for us to review. If you're going to be hiring in the States, you can probably expect to pay 2 to 3 times this price in order to get somebody. So depends on you. You know, if you're a business owner who can afford that, then by all means go for it. You'll probably get better results, but it is going to be a huge cost for you, especially at the start if the YouTube channel is not making any money at all. And then the cool thing with a channel manager too is if you get a really solid channel manager, they can actually do the ideation and the scripting as well. But honestly, we recommend doing the scripting yourself as the CEO. Nowadays with AI, you can create really solid workflows. For example, if you guys are familiar with Claude, you can actually use Claude Cowork and put in a prompt to tell it to interview you and make it super detailed. It can ask you basically 100 questions about your life, the way that you think, and how you like to talk. And you can use an AI tool like Whisperflow to just dictate and talk to your computer in order to answer those questions. From there, it can output an MD file for you to use for all of your scripts in the future. And this is something that's going to save you a lot of time and make the scripting process a lot easier. So if you have a product or a service or whatever, it's probably going to be way better if it comes straight from you instead of from somebody else who has to learn your style. So that's why we recommend CEOs script their videos. But with the ideation part, the channel manager can learn that. That could be a whole system and a whole workflow for you to find outliers, find good ideas, and do market research based off of specific criteria that you guys are looking for in your YouTube videos. So let's just make it even simpler, right? Let's just delete this one and just have it as videographer, editor, and thumbnail designer. And now let's start to look at all of these tasks, right, that we put up here. So if we put the coming up with ideas, this is going to be the channel manager. We put coming up with ideas. They can also help write the descriptions and titles and tags. They can also help you reply to comments if you want. They can also track analytics, and they can also track the content calendar for you. So this is all stuff that the channel manager can do. And then these roles, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? They're just editing the videos, they're just creating the thumbnail, and then they're just filming the video for you. Now, I was recently talking to a business owner, and him and his team, they've done $1 million a month. So really solid entrepreneur, and they're trying to get into the YouTube game. And what their workflow kind of looked like was the CEO was basically coming up with ideas and also scripting them using Manus. He used Manus AI, and that was his most time-consuming part, which is why he was always the bottleneck, because he was constantly the one to come up with ideas and script the videos. So then when it came time to filming with his team, he just couldn't film that many videos because he spent all his time on just coming up with ideas and also scripting. Now they're also working with an agency who basically helps them edit and also do the thumbnails if they want. And I asked them, would they rather have that in-house? And they said yes. So I actually recommended that they got a channel manager, right? Project manager, creative director, whatever. And so once they get this hire, they are going to be able to film so much more consistently. And there's going to be way less back and forth from the CEO to his assistant talking to the editors and the thumbnail designers. They're just going to get somebody who only focuses on their YouTube channel. And this is what's going to allow them to post 4, 5, 6, 8 videos per month, which is the goal that we set for them. The next action item that I actually gave to that CEO was to document all of his processes, because he was the one coming up with all the ideas and scripting them using AI, but he's never actually shared that process with any of his team members. So if this is you and you're a CEO, founder, owner, whatever, and you do some of the processes, right? If you come up with the ideas or script right, I would recommend to record all that stuff and document it, because that's how we were able to eventually scale our media team. At first, it was me doing everything, right? I would come up with the ideas, I would write the scripts, I would film them, I would manage the editor, I would manage the thumbnail designer, etc. But one by one, I would document my thinking process and I would put it into a Google Doc. I would film a Loom going through maybe like writing a script live, and I would use that in order to train up the next person and the next person. And I'm not sending this to the editor specifically or the thumbnail designer. I'm sending it to the channel manager, the project manager, creative director. That person is going to be taking in all of this knowledge and all of this documentation so that they can also have the standard for the editor and thumbnail designer to follow. So that's what I told the CEO, to just document his process. And I recommend that once they actually get a channel manager on, they can refine their editing process and their thumbnail design process. And as they're doing that and they're training their channel manager, that channel manager should be able to help them with coming up with SOPs and Looms and Google Docs that can be sent to any future editor or thumbnail designer that they hire. And this is the whole thing with building systems. Like, it needs to start from the top down. This is basically how it works with the systems, right? You build out the workflow or the Loom video to document the process, and you train people top down by sending it to your channel manager, who can then send it to everybody else on the team. For my own channel, I actually had my channel manager find me the editor and the thumbnail designer. So you don't even have to find the editor or thumbnail designer first. If you just find a really solid channel manager to start off with, they can help you you find a good videographer, a good editor. So whatever role that you guys end up adding, I recommend like create SOP. So then this would be the videography system / workflow. And then this would be the editor system and workflow. And this would be the thumbnail system and workflow. And then over time, you can build a Google Drive or whatever, and it can have all of your SOPs when it comes to your YouTube channel specifically. And that's going to help you so much down the line once you start to scale, because the cycle of bottlenecks that you guys are going to face is going to be, at first, you're not going to be able to film as much videos because you're spending time doing all of these things. And then once you film enough videos, then you're going to have an editor bottleneck, not enough editors to make the videos. And then once you get enough editors and thumbnail designers, you might also want to consider getting another channel manager who can then split the management process along all of the other contractors. And that also gives you a bit of a safety net, you know, in case the channel manager runs into an emergency or goes on vacation or something like that. And that way your channel can still run. And then all you have to do is just film, and everything else in the process is still being done by the rest of the team. And then there's going to be systems and workflows for each of these things too. So there's going to be a system and workflow for coming up with ideas. There's going to be a system for descriptions. There's going to be a system for replying to comments and tracking analytics and using the content calendar. There's so many automations that you can do within your content calendar. Like, for example, we use ClickUp for our content calendar, and there are so many automations that we've set up in order to help us move things along the line so much more efficiently and automated. And it just becomes a loop of us experimenting and figuring out what works and what we want to build for our specific business or YouTube channel, and then just improving the process over time. So yeah, going back to exactly how I would start a YouTube channel for a business in 2026, this is the system, right? I would just make sure that I'm hiring these things out so that the CEO or whoever the founder is only focusing on what they can only do, which is filming. Now, this was a very like general, or I guess you could say strategic point of view of how you should structure your organization behind your media team, at least when it comes to YouTube long form, because that's our bread and butter. But there are so many things within each of these bullet points that can be super tactical, like things that we do to come up with good ideas or what we do to write good descriptions. So if you're watching this and you're a CEO and you want all of this stuff set up for you, we have a service. If you want to check that out, we'll leave a link down below. And we also have a service where we can run your entire YouTube channel for you and just come in, plug in all of our systems, and you don't have to worry about anything. We would give you guys a channel manager, and we would have our own editors and thumbnail designers to help you. So if you want this exact system built for your channel and we run it for you, we'll also leave a link down below for you guys to apply for that. All you have to do is just fill out a form to book a call with us, and we can see how we can help you. Even if we don't end up working with you guys will still be able to get a lot of good strategy out of it and get good action steps for you guys to do well. So looking forward to helping you guys out either way. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, then feel free to leave a comment down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.